Hey guys, Brian here with Legacy Guides, helping you craft the story others will tell. Thanks for joining me today as we close out 2023 and we look forward to what can be in 2024. Last time I told you I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions, but I am a big fan of reflecting upon the past and then learning from that to see what we can apply in the future. So last week, we talked about two questions. Once again, I want to give a shout out to Brian Hemming, Fidfo Custom Cans, for helping me come up with these questions and engage with them. But the two questions were in 2023, what worked? What worked? What seemed to create success? What seemed to have good results? What worked? We reflected upon all that I've done in Legacy Guides. You reflected in your life about what worked in your life, where you saw great things progress and move forward. And then we said the other side of that, question number two, was what didn't work? Where did you get stuck? What was broken? What did you look back and reflect upon and go, man, I just didn't do a great job with that? Those were the first two questions. If you didn't catch that video, just catch up on YouTube on the channel and listen to those two questions. But I've got two questions to add to that in part two today. So the questions are this: based upon what worked and what didn't. Question number three is this: what did you learn in 2023? What did you learn in 2023? Once again, I talked about this last week, and I learned a lot of perseverance. I learned that we got to get through year number one of launching Legacy Guides. I had to figure out how do I run a trip, and how do I prepare for a retreat with a bunch of guys, and how do I do Working Genius trainings with groups of 60 and then groups of 12 and then one-on-one. And so what I learned was, man, I've got a lot to learn. I've got to work really hard at learning those things and figure out how to get through those things. So I learned a lot in 2023. What did you learn in 2023? Maybe you learned a new talent. Maybe you learned something about yourself. Maybe you learned something about your marriage or about parenting. What did you learn in this year from what worked and what didn't, right? I want you to spend some time reflecting upon that, because Einstein says it this way: you learn from yesterday. You learn from yesterday. But the second part of Einstein's question, you learn from yesterday, is this: you learn from yesterday, but you live for today. So that's question number four. From what you've learned, what will you do different in 2024? Because of what you've learned, what will you do different in 2024? Maybe something worked really, really well in last year, and you said, man, I'm going to continue that. In fact, I'm going to amp that up. I talked a lot about personal investment, right? About how we invest in tools and assessments and different things that can help us learn and grow as an individual. And I was really intentional about that. And what I want to apply to next year is that I want to keep going with that. I learned that that's very successful. I have a friend of mine, Cody Rich, who runs the Rich Outdoors podcast, would encourage you to check that out. And Cody has this thought that you just never have a budget line for that's limited. Don't have a budget line that's limited for personal growth. In other words, he would say, if something is personal growth related, you figure out how to make that happen. You don't be hindered by the finances on that. You make it happen. Like, one of the things that I do for myself is, if there's a book out there that I go, man, that book would help me, I buy it. I don't hesitate. I don't wonder. I don't look at the numbers. I go and I buy that book, because I know that $20 investment, that $25 investment is going to produce a lot in my life. So that's maybe what you've learned in 2023 and you're going to apply in 2024. Or maybe you learned from some of your mistakes. Maybe you learned from something that didn't work. Maybe you pushed yourself so hard that you find yourself at the end of 2023 kind of burned out, and you go, man, I can't do that again. So I've got to shift some things. I've got to change some things in 2024. Maybe you realize the ways that you parented, or the ways that your marriage went, the things that you did in there that just didn't work. And so you've got to rethink those things. You've got to learn from those experiences, and then you've got to apply what you've learned to 2024. So I just want to encourage you to take those two more questions and think about, what did you learn in 2023? And then jot down a few ideas about things that you can apply, things that you can do differently, or maybe even amp up in 2024. Put out some goals, put out some things that you want to see happen as you progress in 2024 and as you leave the legacy that you were meant to leave. Good to be with you today. We will catch you in 2024. Happy New Year.